Grandpa Donkey lost his name. There was a crash and a smash, and who should appear but Super Donkey? With a flash of his cape and a glint in his eye, he soared into action. Super Donkey's mighty hooves stomped down, quelling an earthquake's fury. He brayed, unleashing a sonic wave that scattered approaching meteorites. With lightning speed, he dashed through burning buildings, rescuing trapped villagers and extinguishing flames with gusts from his powerful wings. His X-ray vision spotted hidden dangers. His super strength lifted fallen trees, clearing paths for the rescuers. Every leap and bound left a trail of awestruck faces as Super Donkey saved the day time and time again. Ta-da! Now, I don't know what you're imagining when you think about Super Donkey, but it's probably not the donkey in our story. Grandpa Donkey lived peacefully in a field on Wonky Farm, where the kind farmer let him chomp the carrots that grew in the field. Grandpa Donkey loved carrots. They were his favourite thing of all. He was very, very old, with a rather threadbare grey coat, and his ears tended to sag a bit these days. But everyone loved him, and he was pretty happy. Until one day, a new animal arrived at the farm. It was a small, fluffy dog called Clover. Clover had the softest peach-coloured fur and was very playful and fun, and so wanted to meet all the other animals. She trotted up to the old donkey, who was sniffing some carrots. "Hello, I'm new here. My name's Clover. What's your name?" "Grandpa Donkey, of course." "Nah, I mean your real name. Grandpas have names too, you know." The old donkey looked rather puzzled. Did he have a name? He'd been called Grandpa Donkey so long he simply couldn't remember. Clover giggled and said maybe some other animals knew. So he decided to ask around. But they'd all called him Grandpa Donkey for ever so long they were no help at all. "I'm named Rosebud because it was my mother's favourite flower. Maybe you were named after a flower," barred the little lamb. "I don't think I'm named after a flower," frowned the donkey, and went to find the cows. "Well, I'm called Betsy Moo, because I moo," mooed the prettiest cow. "What noise do you make?" "I'm not calling myself Eeyore," spluttered the old donkey. "I'm pretty sure that name's already taken," and he stomped off to find the pigs. "I'm named after my dad's favourite football team," suggested Aston Villa the piglet. "Maybe you're called after a team too." "Oh, goodness gracious, no! Donkeys and sport don't really mix. Too many hoofs." Clover the pup had been watching thoughtfully and had a suggestion. "Well, if you can't remember your name, maybe you can invent a new name for yourself." "What a brilliant idea! I suppose it could be anything I like." "How about a fierce and brave name, like a mighty warrior?" That was an exciting thought. He decided to seek out Douglas the Fearless, the most fearsome warrior and famous in the whole realm, and seek his advice on a good warrior name. They found him in the castle quad smashing watermelons with an axe as big as a lamp post. What about Brave Hoof the Indomitable?" suggested Sir Douglas. "That's a fearsome name." Grandpa Donkey imagined if that was his name, his grey muscle twitching. In his mind's eye, he was Brave Hoof the Indomitable, charging into battle with a gleaming armour. He imagined rescuing princesses from towering castles, crossing treacherous rivers, and outwitting cunning bandits. His hooves thundered on the battlefield as he led valiant knights to victory. Cheers erupted all around him as he stood triumphant, his name sung by bards in every tavern. Jasper's eyes twinkled with the thrill of imagined glory, each bray a tribute to the adventures he dreamed of. His eyes twinkled with the thrill of imagined glory, each bray a tribute to the adventures he dreamed of, painting a life far beyond the quiet field. But thinking about all that made him feel quite tired, and he only really liked mooching about in a field eating carrots. "Oh, I don't think that's for me," he sighed. "I'm not really, athletic enough to be a warrior."
"Well, maybe be a warrior with superpowers, a superhero. You could be named Super Donkey."
The truth was that Clover the dog actually did have some superpowers of her own, but that's another story, and this one is about donkeys, not daring doggies. Grandpa Donkey imagined himself as Super Donkey, smashing through fallen rocks and rescuing trapped people, flying high into space to stop the aliens, casting force fields to blast away invaders and being everyone's hero. He also imagined his superhero suit, which was very stylish and included special bits to stop his ears from sagging. But then he thought again and thought that this was actually a really silly idea. "I'm far from super. Anyway, I'm more of a thinker than a fighter or a hero."
"Well, perhaps you need a name suitable for someone wise, like the Supreme Sorcerer Shaman. Why not ask his advice?"
They set off on their travels to the mountainous region where the Supreme Sorcerer could be found, peering over his books and casting spells. A name for a wise old donkey. How about Sage Bray the Enchanted? Wow, how cool would that be? Grandpa Donkey stood under the ancient oak, his eyes reflecting the twilight sky. In his dreams, he was Sage Bray the Enchanted, a wise sorcerer, draped in mystic robes. He envisioned casting spells to heal the sick, summoning rain for parched lands, and communing with ethereal spirits. His brays turned into chants, weaving magic that lit up the night. He saw himself advising kings, deciphering ancient prophecies, and uncovering lost treasures. Each whisper of the wind carried the promise of his imagined powers, filling his heart with wistful longing. But when he came to think about it, he wasn't actually really very wise. And the only things he really longed for were carrots. He just liked mooching around eating carrots, as we already know. The donkey was getting rather tired and decided to call it a day. He returned to the farm and settled down in the corner of the carrot field and began to munch on some very delicious new baby carrots and forget about the fact that he'd forgotten his name. Clover snuggled down next to him and giggled.
"You like carrots so much, you even look a bit like one. You should call yourself Carrots."
The donkey looked a bit thoughtful. I do like carrots. In fact, they're my favourite things of all. Perhaps I should name myself Carrots.
"Oh, come on, you can't tell me you're seriously thinking about calling yourself after your favourite snack."
Well, Rosebud the lamb said she was named after her mother's favourite flower, and Aston Villa the pig was named after his dad's favourite football team. I'm not particularly brave or wise, so I don't need a long fancy name to impress people, and I'm not calling myself Eeyore. Why can't I be named after a snack? Clover was basically speechless, for the first time ever. And that was that. He'd made his mind up. The donkey let it be known that he'd found his new name, and it was Carrots. And Carrots it stayed. And he never did feel like changing it, after all. Who doesn't like carrots? And that's the story of how Grandpa Donkey lost and then found his name. If you could choose your own name, I wonder what it'd be. Thank you to Oliver for your amazing suggestion. Grandpa Donkey lost his name. And also big thanks to Rosa for coming up with the character Clover the Peach Dog. You can suggest ideas for stories and names over at funkidslive.com. Got an idea for a story? Tell us the title at funkidslive.com/storyquest and we could bring your story to life. For a new story each week, make sure you hit subscribe or follow so you don't miss a single episode.